The October 8th Village of Webster Board meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Laura.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, good.
So this evening we have a presentation from Laura Landers of Freed Max, and she's going to present our financial annual update document that is sent to the comptroller for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2015. So at this time I'll turn it over to you, Laura.
Well, thank you, Mayor. You have in front of you our audited financial statements. This was the audit for the village for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2015. Included in your packet is our report to the village board. Yeah, that's not the, that's the AUD, so that's not it. Take that off there, Jane. Our report to the village board, and included in there is our required communications to you as the governing board. That is on pages 1 and 2. On page 3 is the summary of accounting estimates for the village, significant accounting estimates that are included in the financial statements. Pages 5 through 7 are some recently issued accounting standards, and when we met with the mayor to review the drafts and the treasurer, we were talking about statement number 68, which is going to be effective for May 31st, 2016, which is going to require the village to report their share of the unfunded pension liability for the employees' retirement system, and that will be reported much as the other post-employment benefits were reported under GASB 45 on your government-wide financial statements. So no impact on your fund balance or on your general fund balance. This is purely on the government-wide financial statements. So that will be something new next year, and next year's report we'll go through a little bit more in depth, because there's going to be about 3 additional pages to the footnote disclosures in the village's financial statements related to this implementation of this standard. And then we had no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report as a result of our audit again this year. We had 1 minor control deficiency, which we have noted in there. And then Exhibit B is a copy of the representation letter that we provided to the treasurer at the conclusion of our audit, just so that you as the governing board can see that communication. Any questions regarding the report to the village board? Okay.
The only thing that,
You and I thank Christie.
would you just elaborate, because I know as far as the unfunded pension goes,
Yes.
that affects all municipalities, and
Oh.
why, and what has transpired now, what's going to be a little different than before, and what is the unfunded retirement or the unfunded pension? Because I know that's a question that I had, and I wanted you to elaborate on a little bit. And,
Okay.
you know, I'd appreciate it if you would do
Absolutely, Mayor. The unfunded, as you know, New York State has two retirement systems. They have the employees' retirement system and they have the teachers' retirement system. These are defined benefit plans, require all governmental units in New York State that choose to participate to contribute to these plans. The ERS, which is the employees' retirement system, is underfunded. We know that because the June 30th, 2015 governmental year ends, for those, majority of them being school districts, have already had to implement GASB 68. So the ERS is underfunded, the TRS is overfunded. So on those municipalities or the school districts that have TRS that is overfunded, they're reporting their share of a asset on their government-wide statements. The ERS is a liability or is in a underfunded, so they're reporting a liability on their government-wide financial statements, so for their share. Now, that information, as far as what is each governmental entity's share of the liability for ERS, is being provided by the Office of State Comptroller. So the village will be receiving that information to be able to have that to report on their financial statements for the year ending May 31st, 2016. These are standards that go across the country. This is not just New York State. These are the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. So all governmental entities will be required to report their unfunded liabilities on their financial statements. New York State, the ERS is underfunded by about $3.3 billion. That's on a $165 billion total liability, and assets of about $162 billion to cover that. So New York State really is in a good position. There are other states in the country that their retirement systems are significantly underfunded. And so the liabilities that are going to have to be reported by those governmental entities within those states are going to be significantly higher than what New York State governmental entities are going to be reporting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The financial statements, we have the Section A, our independent auditors report. Again, this year we issued a unmodified opinion, which basically says that the financial statements here materially represent the financial position and the operations of the village for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2015. And on A1 and A2 are those governmental or government-wide financial statements that I just referred to. And the liability for ERS will be appearing under the section of liabilities next year for May 31st, 2016. A2 is the statement of activities. This actually reports all of the governmental activities of the village, the expenses, and then the program revenues that are related to those expenses to come out with either a net expense or revenue for each of those activities before we go down into the general revenues, which the largest portion of those general revenues are your real property taxes and your non-property taxes, which is the sales tax. On page A3 is the balance sheet for the general fund. You can see that cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year was about 1.4 million. Liabilities totaled about a little less than 100,000. And the fund balance position is that there's some prepaids that total $4,000. That's that non-spendable category of fund balance. You have restricted of $318,475, the majority of that being restricted for debt service. Assigned of $352,000, and unassigned, which is really what you as a board have, you can do whatever you choose to do with the unassigned portion, which is a little over $1 million. On the next page is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And you can see that in the current year, there was a slight expenditures that exceeded revenues in the amount of about $212,000, which reduced total fund balance from just under $2 million to $1,762,000. On A6 and A7 are what we call the fiduciary. This is the agency fund and also private purpose trust, which is for the parks, and rec is the private purpose trust. And the balance of the financial statements are the footnotes to the financial statements. There are no significant changes to the footnotes from the prior year, updating, of course, for the current information. But because there were no new standards that were implemented in the current year, there is not really any new footnotes to be noted here. Note 1 is the summary of all the significant accounting policies of the village. Note 2 talks about the detail of all the activities and funds of the village, including long-term liabilities. And on A19 is a note related to the detail of the fund balances of the village. The $352,000 that we talked about as far as assigned, that's assigned for the subsequent year's expenditures. That is what you utilized in order to balance the 15-16 budget for the village. And on A21 is required supplementary information. This shows the original budget that was adopted by the board, modified budget, and this is modified for any transfers that occurred or amendments to the budget during the year, and versus the actual revenues and expenditures for the year. So overall, good cash position, good fund balance position. So financial position of the general fund is in good shape at the end of the year. And, you know, you still have some reserves there. You have a healthy unassigned. You've appropriated some of that million for, or $1.3 million for $352,000 for, to balance the 15-16 budget. But overall, good financial position.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'd just like to thank Christina, too. This year, she had everything ready for us. I know last year was a learning experience.
To say the least.
But this year, she had everything ready for us, and we were able to come in, get everything done that we needed to get done. We had a few things to wrap up a little bit, you know, in the following week after we were out here, but everything went very smoothly this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Questions? No? Pardon? Well, I appreciate you coming in and sitting down with myself and Jake and Christina also. We were in there for, I don't know, for quite a while and answering a lot of the questions that I had. And so I really appreciate you coming down and spending time with us.
And I have to say, Mayor, I wish more boards would take as an active role in that. We sat for, what, probably a good hour and a half?
At least, yes.
And really reviewed these in depth, and a lot of good questions from you, from Jake, and also not just about historically what's in here, but about proactive, looking at the future.
Right.
And what's going on with the village going forward.
I appreciate it, and it was a learning experience for me, and I kept raising my hand and saying, I have another stupid question to ask, but you kept saying there is no stupid question. But I did learn a lot, and that's why I wanted to expand upon the pension system, because that was one thing that I was not really familiar with. I had seen those numbers in previous reports, but the explanation that you gave that day really helped me understand more, and which is why I asked you to expand on that this evening for our board members. So thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so next I'll open up the village board meeting to public comments. Ask that you please keep your comments to 5 minutes and give us your name and street address.
Eric Reynolds, 64 Kircher Park. Tonight, I'd like to address the board about what exactly has been going on with the well fields. Has there been any movement towards getting those taken care of, getting the wells capped, selling them, whatever you're planning on doing? Does anyone know?
No, El, you have anything? Jerry? Anybody? No updates from the board
No,
right now?
nothing is going on with it at all.
Not that I know of.
I have been speaking with some individuals that may be interested in purchasing those well fields, the well field property.
Okay.
Has the board come up with any pricing on how much they're selling it for? What's the?
We had, you know we had the appraisal as far as we would field any offer, obviously. So if you'd like to have the person or entity that's interested contact the board,
Okay.
we'd be more than happy to entertain, obviously, any offer they would like to put forward.
Okay. Secondly, I'd like to reiterate my disappointment in the fact that the mayor has gone to the village, or gone to the town, looking at possibly doing away with our sewage treatment plant without bothering to talk to the board whatsoever about it. That doesn't seem like the open thing to do. My feeling is that somehow you're working towards dissolving the village, because we've done away with the water department, and next we're looking at doing away with, or you're looking at doing away with the sewage treatment plant. So I'm really disappointed, and there's many other people in the village that are disappointed with the fact that you're going to Ron Nesbitt without talking to the board at all. The board is supposed to govern as a group, not as an individual. And it seems that you've taken it on yourself to individually govern the village.
All right, you done?
Sure.
Okay, well, let me respond to that, because I got a number of phone calls regarding that. And I don't know if you were at the workshop in July when the engineering group that I requested come in and do a presentation regarding the study that they did, particularly, they focused primarily on the digester tanks and the energy system.
Mm-hmm.
So at that meeting, I also requested that the executive director for economic development, Matt Chatfield, who writes our grants, come in and talk about the availability and possibility of a grant for that. So in that meeting, it was brought out, we're looking at potentially a $1.4 million investment, which has subsequently turned into $1.75 million, okay? And then Matt spoke about the possibility of a grant. The grant he did speak about, he also elaborated and stated that if we were to get that grant, it would only cover 25% of the cost for not new tanks. We're talking just rehabilitating the existing tanks. Shortly thereafter, we're talking seconds, I made the statement, we need to look into alternatives. Not one board member said one word. Nobody said, Mayor, what alternatives you were talking about? Mayor, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't even look into any alternatives. We should just borrow the 1.75 million and go forward. Nobody said a word. The only person that said something was Jake. And Jake made a statement, a very astute statement. He said, listen, I just wanted you to be aware that we have, we've invested a lot of money in the sewage treatment plant over the past few years, which is correct. Now, as far as conducting business and having conversations, I popped in and I spoke to Ron Nesbitt, and what I said to Ron, I asked him a question. I said, Mr. Nesbitt, or actually I said, Ron, does your sewage treatment plant have the capacity to handle our volume? And he responded and said, I don't know, but we're going to have a study done on our entire sewage treatment plant to see what upgrades are needed, and that's one of the things we'll look at. Now, I don't need your permission or Jerry's permission or anybody's permission on this board to stop in and ask somebody a question, any more than any board member has to get my permission or any other board person's permission to go out and ask questions and look into something. Now, just because we're asking questions, or I'm asking questions and looking into alternatives that I will bring, when I get the information, I will bring that information to the board when I have the facts. I don't have those facts. But I'm not going to just not bring other alternatives to the board and to the residents of this village when we're looking at a $1.75 million investment. I'm not going to do that, because if I did do that, in my opinion, I wouldn't be doing my job. And it's not just my opinion. You can ask pretty much any other government official, if they don't pick up the phone almost on a daily basis and consult other mayors and other supervisors about situations that they're dealing with on a daily basis. They don't. They absolutely do that, okay? So you're trying to make it out that I'm doing something nefarious behind everybody's backs when I'm not. I made the statement at the meeting. We need to look into other alternatives. I didn't say, I'm going to look into other alternatives and no other board member can look into other alternatives. I never said that. They are free to do the same thing I'm doing. And you can ask our treasurer or anyone else if that is not the responsible thing to do. Because in my opinion, which disagrees with yours, it is a responsible thing to do, and I'm going to do it. I will bring that information forward, I will present it to this board, and they can make a decision in the best interest of the village taxpayers.
Are you done?
Now I'm done, and you're out of
Okay.
time.
Well, I'm not out of time because you spent all the time talking to me.
Well, actually,
So-
I didn't. I responded to your statement. I asked you if
And-
you were
and
done.
I'm not
I
done.
asked you if you were done, and you said you were. So I'll give you 2 minutes, okay?
So I take exception to
That's
your
fine.
condescending attitude in responding.
Okay.
And secondly, I believe everyone on the board was very surprised that you didn't bother to speak to them at all about it. They had no idea that you were talking to Ron Nesbitt about this. So,
Okay.
and the other part of this is your modus operandi.
In your opinion.
Okay, I didn't interrupt you.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is your modus operandi.
Okay.
You tend to do everything behind closed doors and then bring it out at the end. You're not open. You don't tell your board members what you're doing. You don't tell the public what you're doing. It's all a surprise when it comes up, here, I've got this great plan. Well, that's not how this needs to work. You need to work with your board members. You need to work with your public, not on your own, little shindig that you've got going. You need to work together with the board. Half the board doesn't know, in fact, the entire board doesn't know what you're doing. They don't know because you don't tell them. And that's a problem. And that's been the problem with you from the start. Now I'm done.
Okay. Well, just as a matter of fact in history, I have spoken to 2 other board members previously about alternatives. But again, just to reiterate, I'm doing nothing different than any other mayor or any other supervisor or any other person in government. Gathering information, when I get the information, I bring it forward, and there's nothing to prevent any of these board members from doing the same. Because we work for the taxpayers. That's our job.
We need to work together for the taxpayers.
Okay.
Richard Walder, 20 Elm Street. I want to thank you very much for speaking on behalf of Peter Elder, Jake Swingley, Mayor Hawley, if you want to go back that far, that telling us the way they did business. You seem to be an expert on that. Gee, but you weren't around for most of them, were you? You weren't even here. So you seem to be an expert on what happened in the past, but you weren't here for the past. One thing I wanted to talk about tonight is several meetings ago, you promised to get back to me. You haven't yet. So I've given you the opportunity tonight about the property on North Avenue where rather than letting the bill the village had against the property for mowing take its natural course, the money being transferred to pay at the time of closing when the property was sold, you decided to take it on yourself and go after,
Actually, it wasn't me, it was us.
you and your board.
We did it
I'm
collectively.
speaking,
Thank you.
all right? To go after the money on your own, you expended a sum of money through the labor of your building inspector to go and seek a judgment against the person rather than let it take its natural course and be collected through taxes. Now, this property has thereby cost the village taxpayers money. We don't know because you haven't reported back yet where we are. Last we heard, you were going to turn it over to a collection agency or a collection attorney, person that specializes in this work. We have not heard yet whether that's been done.
Yes, it has been done. I did tell you that.
Is there anything happening on this?
They have not been able to locate any bank accounts for that person.
Have they been able to locate the person?
Well, they know where the person lives.
Well, the people have other funds than bank accounts.
Well, I don't think they went to their house and they're looking under their pillow or anything. I don't think they can do that.
Well, they can go after them in other ways, not just check on bank accounts. People that sell houses must have funds somewhere. I mean, to receive the proceeds of the fund. I mean, this is really nice. It did a great favor to the people who bought this property. I'm paying for out of my village taxes, this funds that you're not collecting. I'm also paying for that property out of my county taxes because this property had commuter grants involved.
Anyone else this evening? Okay. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution to approve the minutes. We'll do the village board meeting of September 24th first. Questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion in a second to accept the minutes for the September 24th board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Byers,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Abolito,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill,
Aye.
motion passes.
Next is the village board workshop, September 29th, village board meeting minutes.
I will read those. Present, Mayor Cahill, trustee Belkane, trustee Bolito, and trustee Lancy. Trustee Byers was absent. Presentation was shared by Peter Elder, board member of the Historic Preservation Commission regarding the freight depot restoration. Mr. Elder said he is chairman of a 501c3 not-for-profit C corporation. Corporation is called Friends of Webster Historic Preservation, and this group will accept and raise money for the completion of the Freight Depot project. Mr. Elder discussed an outline which included 3 phases. Phase 1 including the dismantling and removal of the Freight Depot from its current site. The wood is being stored at the well field through September 2016, and a new site is being looked for to relocate the depot. Phase 2 will entail the reconstruction of the depot building, and Phase 3 will involve a plan for ongoing maintenance of the freight building. Motion was made by trustee Ippolito and seconded by trustee Lancy to approve payment of a dental invoice from Jim Scott not to exceed $105.69 due to the falling through the cracks of his timely submission of paperwork in 2013 for not getting the insurance getting to the insurance company. All were in favor, and it carried. Mayor Cahill said he wanted to review and discuss at the next village board meeting on October 8th, 2015, village employee policy, section 8.3, regarding vacation time. And then Jake Swingley, superintendent of public works, said he would like to discuss in the next village board meeting seasonal help. It was adjourned at 8:45. All were in favor, carried.
Thank you, trustee Byers. I'll entertain a motion in a second to accept these minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Ippolito.
Aye.
Trustee Belkane.
Aye.
Trustee Byers.
I'll abstain, not present.
Trustee Lancy.
Aye.
Mayor Cahill.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next is resolution to approve the claims and warrants. I did review the bills. I did not have any questions.
And a quick
Trustee
one,
Byers?
Jake, on that, Ray Gerhardt's garage, $300 to tow.
Yeah.
What was that for?
It was told W16 to Kenworth, out in Rochester, out near behind the airport. It's one of the larger trucks.
Like,
in the
don't we
back.
use,
Barb?
yeah, Barth, don't we use Barth, or he didn't have the equipment to,
I don't know, I know he just got a bigger truck that can tow, but I still don't believe that he's got one that can tow
okay,
that size vehicle.
that's what I thought, but I figured I'd ask.
Was there a note on there that said you were seeking reimbursement for that?
Yes.
What was that about? That's a question I forgot
That
to
was
ask
on
you.
the, it was on the back-on truck, and we have a, it's through a code, the check engine light came on.
Right.
So we called the place that we just got it back from. They weren't able to send somebody out, and they could probably look at it the following week. I said, well, I spent a month or so calling you because it's a very important piece of equipment. So we took it out there, out to Kenworth. They had it back, I think, in a day and a half, 2 days. It was, they chased down the wire and found the wire. So I sent bills to the previous place to seek reimbursement, as it was where the wires went back. When they put a emergency stop switch, the front end of it back on, those wires, it seemed to indicate that those wires got pinched. And that was the cause of the check. It was sending a bad signal.
Is that the same place that replaced the engine?
No.
Okay, that's the other place we're gonna use, right?
Yeah, it was, this Kenworth is a completely different place.
Well, no,
So-
the place that you called and they couldn't come out for a week, was that the same place that replaced the engine?
Yes. Or not the engine, the crankshaft,
Okay,
yeah. That's the last place we just got it from,
all right,
so.
Okay.
They had a chance to look at it, and sounds like when they put it back together, they pinched the wire, and
okay, thanks, Jake.
Page 1, Jake, Lavella Associates for an RBM inspection. What is that?
let me look at that bill that I have right here, and I will, answer that, hopefully. Now, if there's any other ones while I'm pulling this one out.
Well, I had one other one.
All
On
right.
page 5, the roll-off service for DeWitt Road.
Yes, I had a dumpster down there for quite a while that we used for some cleanup, general cleanup down there, but we also use it for sometimes when we pick up bulk items around the village and that. sometimes we take them down to the sewage treatment plant, we'll be able to get them in that dumpster or a smaller dumpster over here. We also utilize that. We had it for, I wanna say maybe 6 or 8 months.
Okay, so it was
they-
ongoing from.
Yeah,
It was time to pull it.
yeah, they were
They wanted
very,
it
they were
back.
very nice to us,
Okay,
so.
Oh, was that $1,500?
Yeah, that one he's looking up is the only one that I had a question on.
well,
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Go ahead.
The asbestos testing.
Yeah, yep, the RVM asbestos testing that we did down at the plant as part of that study that we completed and started looking at the digesters. One of the questions we knew we were gonna have to answer sooner or later is the asbestos question down there.
So they did a survey?
Yeah, yep,
It's a pretty good price.
yeah.
It looks expensive, but they'll run you up to $4,000 for a survey. So that's pretty reasonable.
thanks, Jake.
Jerry?
I'm all set.
Well? Okay. All right, then I'll entertain a motion in a second to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Lancy.
Aye.
Trustee Belkane.
Aye.
Trustee Abolito.
Aye.
Trustee Byers.
Aye,
Mayor Cahill.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a authorization for Jake Swingley to attend the Region 8 Relief 2015 Urban Forestry Workshop on October 14th at a cost not to exceed $55, which also includes the membership for 1 year. Ah, it's actually very good.
And this workshop's focused on the EAB, the Emerald Ash Borer. It's something that, you know, any of the tree experts and, you know, the arborists and that say it's not, you know, if it comes here, it's when it comes here.
Right.
You know, we've done a tree study or a tree survey. We've had the inventory for years. We enhanced the inventory last year as part of a project. We know what we have as far as ash trees go that are, you know, threatened by the emerald ash borer. And it's just, this is gonna give us some indication about treatment options that are out there. Things that we can do. If, you know, there's, the last studies that I read, it was, you know, you can treat it and it'll die a little bit later, basically, or you just have to continually retreat and retreat and retreat, and I mean, what's the best alternative? So they're gonna discuss that, and it's close by, so I figured it'd be neat information to have. Because, and again, that's, the tree inventory that we took is in regards to our street trees that we
Right.
have and maintain. That we don't count, you know,
Residential trees.
residential trees, you know,
Right.
people could have, you know, 25 ash trees in their backyard, we don't necessarily know that. But that is gonna impact the village when they start cutting down all the limbs off it and staking the tree down, cause it died and we have to chip it and.
Well, you're gonna, you feel, I'm sure you field a lot of phone calls, so, you know, first person that gets the phone call is going to be you regarding anything with trees, whether it's our trees or residential. I'm sure you feel those phone calls throughout the year, and,
Yeah.
you know, this is just an educational aspect of your job, that you can filter that information down to the residents. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea, and very reasonably priced, so.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion in a second to authorize Jake Swingley to attend the relief at a cost of not to exceed $55.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Belkane.
Aye.
Trustee Byers.
Aye,
Trustee Abolito.
Aye.
Trustee Lancy.
Aye.
Mayor Cahill.
Aye,
Motion passes.
thank you. Next, we have a discussion about the policy manual, section 8.3, vacation time pertaining to the village treasurer and the village clerk. We talked about this, we actually modified this last year. And I never, as I stated at the workshop, and I'll reiterate tonight, I've never been a proponent of this. When they took comp time away from the clerk and treasurer, the previous clerk and treasurer, and fortunately, the ex-mayor was here and did provide a lot of pertinent information to this. You know, he spoke about, you know, what the board, the reasons that the board did that at that time, And what we had done last year, rather than eliminate the section where it said, they will receive an additional week's vacation for hours over 40 for the exempt employees. For salaried employees, it was decided by the majority of the board to have a statement say may, rather than it does. So one of the questions I had was, okay, well, an exempt employee, either the clerk or their treasurer, says, okay, I'd like the board to consider an additional week because I worked 50 hours a week for the last 6 weeks. When this first came to fruition, my question was, if you give that additional week, is that additional week in perpetuity? And the answer was yes, it is. So what we talked about at the workshop was, do we really, are we still in favor of this being in there? And I've not been a proponent of it. I'm still not a proponent of it. In industry, exempt employees or salary employees typically work 50 hours a week. They do, and I just, I'd just like to open it up for discussion because we did talk about it at the workshop, and
Well, right.
I don't know
but,
if-
I mean,
I don't know if
their
your position has
salaries-
changed since then.
Their salaries were reduced. I mean, the reasoning why we did it, their salaries were really reduced. They ended up with less. And instead of giving them an amount of salary, we had determined to just give them a week's vacation. And it didn't make it way better or make it even or anything. But taking the comp time away, taking everything away that we did, I mean, that's the only reason we did it. It's just that we had taken so much away that we felt like we had to give them something back.
Right, and
And it may not, you're right, it may not have been
So you're speaking individually,
Right.
or are you speaking to the position?
the positions because of what we
at
had done.
that
Not
time,
the-
at
not
that
the
time, they were
people per
talking to the
se.
position.
It was the positions and what we had done and when we changed them over, because they lost their comp time, and we thought it was better for our budget not to have the higher salaries every week and just have 1 week worth of vacation. So, I mean, that was the reasoning for it.
So I think that Mr. Elder made a very cogent point when he stated that, since that policy was enacted and we have subsequently modified it, those positions have changed. New people have come in under an agreed-upon salary
Yeah.
rather than an existing salary. So is this still pertinent? I don't think so. I don't think that,
My question to you would be, because this is only part of what transpired that particular night, and the other part of what transpired in that meeting was Jake, he also, at that point, was
yes, you're right.
determined as salary, and he was given a two-step increase.
Yes.
So if you're looking at what was done in terms of compensation to a position, which still requires time above and beyond possibly what their, quote, standard 40-hour week is, that raise of 2 steps was a compensation to Jake because he also lost his
His comp,
weekend time,
yeah.
comp time, those kinds of things.
Yep.
That's in perpetuity or whatever you call it.
Perpetuity.
Okay, that continues and has, in fact, 1.5%. I mean, that's increasing. So,
I still think that
I don't know.
I still think the point that
Problem.
Peter made is germane because it, these 2 other positions, they came in new, they weren't subject or had endured the loss of the comp time and subsequent reduction of their salary.
So you guys didn't answer my question correctly when I said, was it based on the individuals or the position? You said the position, but it's not. It was based on the individuals. So if it's the
I would
position,
agree, yeah, you're right.
That's the
It
position.
was based on the individuals.
this would still
right.
stand because
Right.
it's for the position.
Right.
Well, back then, it was.
It was
on the position.
individuals.
It wasn't.
Because they took the
individuals.
comps, they took,
Right.
they took the comp
Now it
time
is.
away from those existing individuals.
Yes. At that point, it really didn't have to, it was
So
the
the question
position and
is,
what we
the
were
question
doing, but
is,
now we have new bodies and,
we shouldn't pay someone through vacation anyways.
Right.
It should, if the salary, if they're working as many hours as over what they should be, we should be looking at the salary for those positions and making sure they're getting paid what they're supposed to get paid for that role and for their hours, not substituting it for vacation.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
So if that's the case, then we look at it that way.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah?
Well, it's a valid point.
yeah, no. I
So would
agree-
you
I
then
agree
be in
with you
favor of
now,
looking at this, saying,
Then I
okay,
did.
we're gonna take this
Because of the people,
and change it,
yeah.
but in changing that,
Yeah, then,
would you then change salary?
I would be open to listening to,
mhm,
Maybe
Discussing
something we
it.
discuss at the next workshop, or?
yeah, absolutely.
but you gotta look, you look across the board, you look at what other positions pay in that field, you know, you look at, you get data and you make a decision based on the data that you have, and
That's
you
right.
just don't do it just to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that, and I agree wholeheartedly with Jerry, you don't compensate people by giving them
Yeah.
additional vacation just because they work 50 hours a week. Well, maybe they didn't need to work 50 hours a week. Maybe, you know,
No, it wasn't even that. We
no, I'm
felt
not
like
talking,
we
I'm
were
talking
taking-
going forward. I'm not
I know.
talking about what happened in the past. I'm talking about going forward as this policy is listed right here. You know, we're asking, we have available through this policy for the exempt employees to say, okay, hey, I'd like my additional week. I worked a lot of hours. Can I have my additional week? And how does that process work?
Well, it's not a good process unless a
it's
board approved it, not one person approved it,
Well,
because it depends what
It would
mood
come
you're
to the
in.
board, is what I'm saying, but
Well,
does
then I would never be in favor for it.
does that additional week, is that in perpetuity? Or is it just for that year? Or is it evaluated on an annual basis? I just totally disagree with this policy. I have absolutely no problem
think-
having a discussion with respect to the salary rates, which were discussed ahead of time and agreed ahead of time when they were hired.
I don't think you're having too much argument on this point, but you have a couple issues. So, and if someone in their role is working 55, 60 hours or all that, then you need to look, we have to look as a board or a management team or however you want, why is someone working that many
I
hours? So
absolutely agree.
that's another issue.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree.
So either it's in.
But do we put
salary-
this to bed right now and treat the hours separately?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in favor of this. I would have so many weeks of vacation right now in my current job
You should, yeah, you
with
would.
my boss. It would be a great thing to have in place, but I just don't think it makes sense.
I agree.
You
So,
would have a lot of weeks of vacation.
Oh yeah, I get a week's vacation if I worked over so many hours all the time, I'd have a lot of weeks of vacation. Get it?
My only
This
comment
is only-
is,
this is only
the
per
way
year.
this is phrased, there's
You can't
absolutely no
carry over more than
standards.
one week.
you're right.
We can.
No criteria for who gets it and what, so you could apply it,
Yep.
you know, you can give it to the village clerk and not to the treasurer, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
If you're gonna leave it, you better at least put in some criteria as to when they get this and when they don't, otherwise it's gonna be pretty discriminatory.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to eliminate this from the get-go, so. We can vote on eliminating this right now. It's up to,
Or
it's
do you
up to
want to
the four of
discuss
you.
it further at the workshop?
I don't really think it
What
needs
more do you
further
want to
dis-
discuss about this? Because we
Either
discussed it
like
at
it
the
or you
last
don't.
workshop, which is why we brought it to this board meeting, so we could have the opportunity to vote yay, leave it in, or no, take it out.
But I think the other issues that go along with it, I think we should discuss at a workshop.
I agree with that, and that's a separate
I-
issue with
yeah,
respect to
yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
I have no problem with
Because I
that.
agree with Jerry, right now, I wouldn't like this. For the people that were in and what we were doing at that time, I agreed with putting something in place for them. And it was the whole thing, I mean, Jake was involved with that too, and we had huge amounts of comp hours, it was terrible. And we were trying to get a handle on the spending for the village. So, and we couldn't think of a better way at that point to do it and not hurt a lot of people. So that's what we did. But I agree, Chair.
All right, well,
Just as long as we can
Then-
have a discussion on the rest of it. And,
because, and that's a separate issue from this.
well,
Would you agree with that, or?
yeah, just as long as we don't lose sight of it.
Is that a
And we
separate
do.
issue? This is
It's
going
not.
away,
It's all
so
the
we're
same.
talking about something else.
not
So
a
it's really not
separate-
separate.
Well, sure it is, because the point I believe Jerry was making was if someone's working a lot of hours, over 40 hours a week, you know, it's incumbent upon the board to find out, you know, why are they working over 40 hours, and should they be
Well, not-
should they be
not 40,
compensated more?
Not 40, salary is 45, 50 hours is
Right.
expected, but if someone's doing that on a constant basis,
You're hitting 55.
55, 60 on a constant
You're
basis.
right.
Right.
There's
What-
a problem.
what processes aren't right that
Yeah.
someone has to endure that much work, you know, you
Yep.
gotta figure that piece out,
I agree, absolutely.
so.
And that would encompass, and it's probably a good idea that we could review at the village workshops, because I know that the hours are tracked by all the exempt employees, and we could review them monthly at a workshop and say, okay, you've
Why
worked.
is this happening?
Why did you work 60 hours
Yep.
a week for the past 2 months? What's going on? I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion, an idea.
Oh, I'm looking at
Yeah,
Daryl. Doesn't look like he's satisfied.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's all the same thing. I do think it's also part of this. It is the same issue. But I want that part of it to go to the workshop.
All right, well then, at this time, I'll entertain a motion, a second, to eliminate this aspect of section 8.3, vacation time pertaining to the village clerk and treasurer, in addition to the years of service credit for vacation, may receive an additional week of vacation on their anniversary days to offset additional work performed that exceeds their standard work week. So do I have a motion, a second, to eliminate this provision of section 8.3?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Polito?
Aye.
Trustee Belkane?
Aye.
Trustee Byers?
No.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Excuse me, I didn't hear it.
She said
She didn't
aye.
hear you.
Oh, aye.
Okay. Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excuse me for one
At the
second.
end of the minutes, all right, section 8, right, changed last week.
But, you know what, I think I'll put this off to the workshop, so I don't need to have this discussion right now. Next is
Is that
authorization
going
for
to be put on a workshop?
what?
Is that going to be put on a future workshop?
The next workshop, yes.
Okay.
Because I want to have clarity to that. I think we need to have the discussion, but I don't think we need to do it.
I think he's
No,
talking.
I don't think
he's
we're gonna
talking
do it
about
right here
vacation
now off
thing
the
now,
cuff
what you
either.
wrote.
I wouldn't,
Should clarify that.
I wouldn't go along with that, but a lot of things that we say we're gonna put off, we put off totally, so. I do that.
You want to make sure that's on the agenda for the next workshop, please, Josette?
What are we talking about again?
I think you're talking about something different than
Same
Jerry and I were.
wording?
What's that?
Say what you want, what do you want it to say? Just that we're
What
gonna
you
talk
do.
about.
He's talking about what he wrote there, not, we just decide, let's just pass it, so there's no need to bring that to workshop
Would
again.
you explain to her what you're talking about? Because I think you're talking about something different than Jerry and I were just talking about. This is going to go on the workshop also, but I believe trustee
Time
Byers
for
is
exempt employees.
talking about discussing the hours over the norm
Yes.
and potential compensation of the exempt employees. Is that correct? Trustee Byers?
Correct. And that's looking also at their time, also trying to find out why
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going over.
And the other thing I'd like to add to the
Secretarial
workshop,
help, what is
Josette,
it, you know, that they need?
is a discussion about sick time, personal time, vacation time, accounting for exempt employees. Because I don't think that we were all on the same page with respect to what constitutes having to take a full 8 hours. And we'll use an example that happened in the last few months. But I don't want to take up everyone's time right now to discuss that. I don't think it's appropriate to discuss it on television either. So I apologize for the delay. Again, we have the authorization for William Baker, zoning board member, to attend the fall government workshop on November 13th at a cost not to exceed $75. Mr. Baker has been a longtime member of the zoning board, and this pertains to his position on that board. Questions? I'll entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Ippolito,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
trustee Belkane,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill,
Aye.
motion passes.
Along those same lines, with respect to the Village Webster zoning board, there is a position available. If anyone is interested in joining our zoning board, feel free to call our village clerk, or you can call me directly also. Next, we have authorization for Peter Bowers, planning board member, to attend the land use planning for resilient communities class, and that class is offered on October 26th at a cost not to exceed $40.
Sounds good, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Belkane,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Ippolito,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill,
Aye.
motion passes.
Don, you have anything for us this evening?
No, nothing to report on the legal front.
Thank you. Josette?
We're gonna look at the comp and overtime report for September. Jake, did you have a chance to any questions? or-
Yep, I reviewed it and it's accurate and reflects it, so I don't know if there's any questions.
What was, looks like it was pretty consistent all the way down to 3 hours, 3.5 hours of overtime.
It's when we milled that one day, we stayed, we were 7 to 7. It was on that Tuesday when we were milling.
Keep the machine.
Yeah, it's cheaper to have the machine overtime than pay for an entire new day, or an entire extra day. To have the machine here, so that's when we milled Fuller Avenue, that section of Fuller Avenue and Harmon Street.
Great job on Barrett Drive,
Nice.
Yeah.
better than the state.
The residents on Curtis and Fuller down by London are amazingly happy with the job that you did. So just pass that on to everybody,
Steve on Harmon Street too, very happy.
except the one guy in the White House on the end. Just can't please that guy, constantly complaining.
That's not making it on the White House.
Your house isn't white? I thought it was white.
That's his car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, those speed bumps are gone now, so it's a smooth ride over there. Anybody got any questions on that? No? All right. No, we're not. What else do you have for us, Josette?
I would like to introduce Josh Morganti. He is the Health and Benefits Administrator from Paychecks. And Josh is going to speak to the board about a new process that Paychecks has.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for coming in. Sorry to put you on the spot tonight.
Not a problem. I gave a speech in front of a couple thousand people a few weeks ago, so it's nothing, right? I got some handouts for you guys if you'd like to take a
Sure,
look.
absolutely.
Yeah. Cards up.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I had the pleasure of meeting with Josette and Christina. Actually, it was yesterday. I've met with Josette a couple of times to discuss this program. I'm your benefits representative at Paychecks. We're currently your payroll provider. There's a benefit administration package that's now included with your current payroll platform. And I reviewed that with Josette and Christina yesterday, and they saw quite the need for it to be able to relieve some administration off of them, provide support to the employees that are enrolled in the benefits, but also have some compliance support with the new healthcare reform, all the different laws changing for the village. This is a package that's now included with your current program. There's no fee or cost for this. We get compensated by the carriers, so we do not charge our clients a fee in order to do this package. I circled the highlights of what we felt were the most pertinent parts of the service that you guys would find value in. I'm just going to give you the 10,000-foot executive summary overview of kind of what it is and how it works. They see a lot of value in it, but we want you guys to obviously be in agreement with us. You'll receive a representative. Like you have a payroll specialist to handle your payroll, you're going to have a representative that's going to manage the benefits that will support Josette and Christina throughout the year with any changes, new hires, terminations, billing issues, renewal, compliance questions. We do on-site healthcare reform meetings. Boards can be there, she can be there to discuss concerns. Healthcare reform meetings to talk about any compliance issues or healthcare reform questions or concerns that the village may have. So you'll basically receive a representative that's now going to be assigned to you guys. We can track any waiting periods for employees. So when an employee is added to payroll, we can automatically track those employees to alert Josette that someone needs to be enrolled or waived in the benefits. So there's tracking tools that we provide. We provide reports for the village as well that will balance your financials, so we can actually balance your bills for you and let you guys know based on any changes that you guys are making. There's reports that she can run that will reconcile the bill for her to make sure things are accurate so the village isn't over or underpaying and so employees aren't missed out and accidentally unenrolled. One of the big things with healthcare reform is tracking of the employees and their hours for the full-time equivalency. Everyone's turning to their payroll companies for that, or somebody here has to start that process of tracking the hours, becoming very, very time-consuming. So I informed Josette and Christina of what that looks like now with healthcare reform and what they would have to do in order to stay in compliance with that. It's going to be a very burdensome process. We have reports and systems that will automatically integrate that, track that, and she can run that report on demand. So that's something that she'll have access to through the payroll platform as well. Renewals, we actually had some discussions about the renewal already. We do shop the renewals for you guys annually and hold on-site open enrollment meetings for any eligible employees or retirees to attend to discuss plan changes, options. We help process paperwork, set things up at the carrier, pretty much the whole entire process.
Enrollment is in January.
That's correct.
Right, so you would hold a meeting.
That's correct.
I'm sure, Christina or Josette would give you a call. And we talked about this at one of our meetings recently.
Yep.
One of them, an employee slipped through the cracks.
Yep.
So this is very, very, very comprehensive and also I think from a tracking standpoint.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Those types of issues should never happen again.
That's correct. It's all through reporting, and
Right.
we find payroll is the best constant to go by. You're dealing with employee money, new
Sure.
hires, terminations. You're not going to not pay an employee. You're going to know about that right away. So it all is through our systems, tracking stuff, all electronic, email alerts, all that sort of stuff. It works very, very well. COBRA, was a big concern as well. Josette's handling a lot of the COBRA herself. The COBRA process changed 4 times last year with the DOL, different forms, documentation. It's growing into a larger process with healthcare reform. When you add an employee to payroll, we send out the initial COBRA letters. When an employee comes off payroll, we automatically do your terminations and send out your COBRA letters then. So it's a full integrated package with COBRA.
So the insurance companies are reimbursing you for these costs, correct?
That's correct.
And that was done legislatively, I take it?
It's basically, there's a built-in chunk into your premium every month that you're already paying that's designated for an agency. Paychex collects it. That way we don't charge our clients a fee. We get compensated by the carrier.
Right, but I mean, I don't think the insurance companies just did this because they're good people.
No, absolutely not.
It was done, they were forced to do it
I agree with
legislatively,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest thing with the insurance companies is they don't mind designating a small percentage. It's roughly 4% of your premium, so they don't have to do it.
Right.
They don't want to have to deal with COBRA, the compliance, all the customer service issues, so they designate a chunk for an agency. So we'll take that in addition to the payroll fees that we're already collecting, and that's why there's no fees. Everybody always asks, it can't be free, and that's, I'm just giving you the truth behind it.
No, I appreciate that, that's why I asked the
Absolutely.
question.
It's a great question.
You know, there's a lot of tracking going on, it's pretty comprehensive.
Absolutely.
A lot of knowledge-based information
Yeah.
that you need to have,
Yeah.
and I was surprised when I heard the word free, not that I don't like that, it's my favorite word. But at some point, somebody's paying for it someplace.
Absolutely. You're
So
absolutely correct.
It's fantastic that you're adding this as an additional service.
Yeah.
Through your company to the village, because, you know, it's, in the long run, it's gonna benefit our employees by not having coverage where they thought they may have.
Correct.
So,
And administratively, you know, she already saw a lot of value where things are gonna be taken off her plate now, so she can focus on other things as well. So we'll be able to take some processes away,
Right.
which is nice. Healthcare reform, you need to have benefit handbooks now.
Right.
That's kind of a newer thing with the DOL and ERISA. We reviewed all the different items that need to be in place. Several of those were missing. We will be producing those and distributing those for employee use. We'll also, at the open enrollment meeting, we're bringing those in. The benefit handbooks have to go out upon enrollment and annually. So running the open enrollment meeting is good. And the timing of this is perfect because we typically need 60 days to produce those. So if we start the renewal process now, we can do the rates, schedule the meeting, have the benefit handbooks completed within perfect timing.
Perfect, thank you.
The last thing is customer service for the employees. So every enrollee and retiree that's on the benefits right now is gonna receive balance care. It's basically a health advocate. That's the blue attachment that you guys see there. What that is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week health advocate for every enrollee and plan participant on the plan for medical and dental. So if there's a question, an issue, for HIPAA reasons, we don't want Josette or Christina entertaining employee questions or issues for HIPAA reasons. This is a third-party advocate that will assist employees, answer questions. Saturdays, Sundays at 10 o'clock, they're open. And it's completely private and confidential, so you don't have to worry about there being a breach of information. That's handed to every single employee that's on the benefits today. That's also part of the benefit handbooks, so any new hire gets that going forward. We cover the cost of that program as well.
That's very good.
Questions?
It's great news.
It is. It's
I
awesome.
really
It's an awesome
appreciate you
program.
coming in
Oh,
and
it's my
speaking.
pleasure.
I know it wasn't originally planned
Yeah, no,
that
it's
way,
fine.
but, you know,
Sometimes this is the best way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's here and I'm on TV and you can't beat it, right?
there you go. Your phone's gonna be ringing off the hook tomorrow.
Yeah, autographs outside the bathroom,
There
by the
you
water
go.
fountain right after.
You just generated 60 leads, and I helped you on that.
Can I hold my business card up? No. But thank you. Do you have any other questions about the program?
Thank you.
No?
Cool.
Good?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Christina, Josette, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it. Do we have to-
We need to authorize them to do this, and it's a change to right now.
Do we
I'll
have to
ask.
have that on Tuesday?
That would be a Don question, maybe.
Do we need to authorize this change from what we have right now? Do we
But we're
need-
paying for a service, right?
Yeah, and this is
This is just an additional aspect of the service that we're already paying for, right? Are we doing, are we going to a different company?
Oh,
This is paychecks.
It's all through paychecks.
Yeah,
Same
that's what I
company.
don't think we need to change.
You know more than I do. You got the handouts. I didn't get the handouts. I have no clue what.
We have
Looking at
right
me
now
like
another company doing
Is there,
this,
is there
correct?
some
Do we
kind of a
have-
contract that you need to sign? If there is, then you need to authorize somebody to sign that if it's gotta be the mayor.
do we have another company doing this at this point?
You only have one payroll company.
Well,
That's
Josette,
why I'm
you
asking
met with
Christina.
him. Do we need to sign a contract?
Want me to answer?
Yes.
So it's basically, it's an agent authorization form for the carrier, so we have access at the carrier. So when Josette sends over like a new hire or termination, or to do your renewal to process stuff, you have to authorize us to be on file. It's not a contract, you can cancel at any time. There's no fee structure, nothing like that
It's an added
whatsoever.
service.
It's like a broker record form in a sense.
So this is
We have
essentially,
on file.
it's an added service.
Correct. That's just a brokered service.
Right.
Through paychecks, that if there's a broker in place, we take the place of that broker and we act as the agency for the village, as your payroll company and agency. But there's no contracts. I gave Josette the paperwork. It's just an authorization form, so Excel recognizes us. as
And who needs to
representatives.
sign that form?
Anybody can. We have village clerks can sign them, mayors can sign them, we have managers, all sorts of people.
Well, we definitely need to authorize someone to sign that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's,
All right, let's authorize Judy to sign it then.
We have the other municipalities that we work with and village clerks have signed those in the past, so.
yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion in a second to authorize Village Clerk Josette Amalfi to sign the authorization.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Ippolito,
Aye.
trustee Byers.
Aye.
And Al has left the building.
Okay, Mayor Cahill.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thanks again, appreciate it.
Yeah. Call me if you have any questions.
Okay. All right, Jake.
So I'll look at it.
I was told I had 4 minutes.
I know you're gonna talk about the seasonal help, but I was wondering and would appreciate it if you could give us an update on the status of the trickling filter at the sewage treatment plant.
Yes, the trickling filter is currently operating. The parts, all the parts have not been replaced, but we made a temporary repair and the trickling filter is trickling and spinning around. The bugs are starting to grow again
Good.
and we're getting some, for those, most people don't know, I'm sure, a trickling filter's basically like a big sprinkler. It's a rotary distributor that goes around and sprays the water after it's gone through primary settling over rocks. It's the media that's in the filter is about 8 foot of rock, and on that rock, microorganisms grow that eat the stuff in the water that's remaining in the water, the suspended solids in that, and clean up the water. So I always tell people we have 3 employees down at the plant, but there's billions of people, or billions of workers down there. They're the ones really doing the cleaning up of the water. So when the trickling filter went down, that biological activity ceases, obviously, because there's nothing, they're not getting any food, and just like all of us, they need food. So, but it is up and running again, like I said, and they're starting to grow. So the treatment's just, or the filtration, if you will, it's not what mechanical filtration like you'd think when you hear the word filter, but the filtration is improving every day. So.
Is it don't off, or they just lift it up and did they have to take that out?
No. It basically, what it is, it's about 120 foot in diameter, and there's
Right.
4 12-inch round pipes that come out of a center hub, and just the force of the water getting pumped up through there. There's, on the big arms, there's ports just on one side of the arm. As the water gets forced out of there, it's like a spray garden hose, and it kicks back. The force of the water getting sprayed makes this distributor spin around. The cables that were on there, a weld broke on one of them, which put extra stress on it. It wasn't a cable, excuse me, it was connecting this rod. And a weld broke on one of them, which put some additional stress on the other connecting rods that were there, support rods that were there. And those popped, and some other smaller ones popped and broke. So we had a company come in, jack it up and support it, get it back in line, and put
Oh, you
cables.
jacked it up.
They put cables on
What's the name
there.
of that company?
Bolter
Yeah,
rigging.
I heard Bolter. and
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna come in and just lift that thing right up.
Yeah, they do a lot of rigging. They did
Yeah, they do a lot of rigging.
our clarifier.
Right.
They took the big their gearbox off the
Right.
clarifier and removed that and sent it down to Canastota when it needed to get worked on. So we started this recent relationship with Bolter that we just started working with them, and they're I'm pretty satisfied so far, especially when you get some of the other companies that specialize in wastewater treatment work, they seem to really,
The estimates were a little bit
Yes.
high.
yeah, the estimates were high, or the people making them were, but they were, yeah, some of them were extreme, but Bolter we're very satisfied with, so. I'll let that one go real fast and move on to something else. Yeah, we're looking for authorization for, seasonal help if we could. I've got Dan Ruby, down, he's a gentleman he's put in a couple applications, and we interviewed him on Tuesday. And he comes with some good recommendations, so we're looking to start him on Tuesday, the next Tuesday, and have authorization for up to, April 1st, and that's, I look back, and that's what we did last year, for the seasonal help. Last year, we had 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you why only one this year.
I'm gonna try to start with 1, because, we don't know, I've got high hopes that the snow won't start falling for a while.
Jeez, you're not one of those optimistic guys.
And I'm cheap.
When they're predicting it's supposed to be the worst winter we've ever had on record.
Well, last year stunk, so it can't get much worse. There are some different challenges with the work that the state did on, East and West Main, North and South Ave. They realigned a lot of sidewalks, and that's one of the things we're going through now. And, because there's gonna be some challenges to where our sidewalk plows are driving. Or are we gonna do more handwork? Is that one of the seasonal guys gonna go down with a snow blower and clear those, where those crosswalks are mid-block? The mid-block ones are really gonna be, interesting. Because we're not make the, we can't make the turn with the equipment, like you can on, at the end of the block and turn around and come back the other way. So there's some challenges. We're gonna look at that, and we'll figure it out. That's what we gotta do, so.
You can put some stakes down around some of the,
Oh, yeah, there's gonna be stakes aplenty. So,
Alright.
yeah, we did that last year.
they
We
did
had
a
pretty
great
good-
job last year. As
Yeah.
far as the lawn damage, last year was minimal compared to the previous year, especially in my neighborhood. But those stakes, I think, helped a lot.
Well, the
They
stakes
did a
help, and also
fantastic job.
the way that we got the snow too. When it
Sure.
snows early heavy and the ground's still thawed, you can push snow into the dirt and it pushes it back. It's certainly doesn't skip across like it does with frozen ground, and the snow insulates the ground. So, there's some, but I think the
Stakes
stakes
definitely
definitely help.
Yeah.
Especially on some of those corners. So, I don't know if I said it here, it's that, again, from October 13th to April 1st at a rate of $10 an hour for Dan Ruby.
So give me the dates again, please, real quick, Jake.
October 13th through April 1st.
All right, I'll entertain a motion in a second to authorize Jake Swingley to hire Dan Ruby at a rate of $10 per hour beginning October 13th and concluding on April 1st.
I'll second it.
Trustee Byers?
Aye.
Trustee Ippolito?
Aye.
Trustee Lancy?
Aye.
Mayor Cahill?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Just have a couple more things. The North Avenue Connector project, they're starting to do right-of-way identification and measurements and location. Part of the next part of the process is going to be the preliminary design. We discussion in the scoping meeting about having a design advisory committee. Different communities handle things different ways. The design advisory committee would basically work with the engineering firm to kind of, answer, field questions and help with some of the considerations that there are ahead of when we start having public meetings or public information sessions. It's not necessarily a public hearing. When we have public information sessions, they'll kind of narrow the scope somewhat before and then there's options going to be presented at that time. The discussion at that time was to have the mayor, another board member, a member of the business community, the WICKED executive director, Matt Sheffield, the planning board chairman, who we've not told yet, so if you're watching, you've got something else to do.
He's gonna call in a second.
Yeah. the code enforcement officer, so Will and myself, on this design advisory committee. So I guess to form a committee, I would assume you'd need board authorization to form a committee. I guess with the intent to fill it out, fill it in that manner. And then, certainly at the next meeting, I think we'd have enough time to reach out to people and then make some adjustments if we had to, as far as the membership, so. I would like, if we could, authorization to form the committee for the North Ave Connector project, I guess to form the design advisory committee for the North Avenue Connector project.
Take a look to see more residents on the panel and all this.
Is there any residents on that panel?
The board members.
No, we did not have in that section, because I think they thought at the scope of meetings, because it's such primarily commercial avenue down, North Avenue, that we did not have residents, but we certainly could add residents. I think we're aiming for an odd number of people on the committee.
How many do you have right now?
7 now. You would say a couple residents, or?
I think a couple residents should be on for
Okay.
sure. That's my opinion.
No,
I agree.
got space down here for 2 residents.
Yeah,
Sure.
so that's fine.
She said you're odd, by the way.
Huh?
She said you're odd.
I'm odd.
Judy did. All right, I'll entertain a motion in a second to allow Superintendent Swingley to formulate the design committee consisting of 9 people. Jade, if you just want to go over the planning board chairman, yourself, the mayor, 1 additional board member, 2 residents, 1 business owner,
And a code enforcement officer.
and code enforcement officer.
And Wicked.
And Matt Chatfield,
Yeah.
Executive Director of Economic Development for Webster. We have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll be quick, really quick. I just want to remind everybody, I know, leaf pickup is,
There's 4 minutes.
I know, I keep getting interrupted.
It was like 10
Leaf
minutes
pickup
ago.
is, obviously gonna start soon. We did the test run the end of last week. We had just a few piles out there and went through. So we went out to where we knew we had the piles. The leaf pickup's gonna start real soon. Just wanna remind people not to put them in the street, in the gutters, or over the curb line. Keep them up on the grass area. We'll be able to get to them there, and they won't block the drainage, because usually when the leaves start to fall, it starts to rain pretty good too, so we don't want to block the storm drains. New York State DOT, the South Avenue there, I haven't been south yet to see, this afternoon, they were about an hour and a half away, when I talked to them, about an hour and a half away of finishing that section. They were trying to finish that Saturday, and the plant broke down, and because of the coolness Saturday morning. So they've got that back done, back paved rather. North Avenue is milled. They expect in about a week and a half. They've got to go through and make adjustments to the elevations of, some of the structures there. Excuse me, and then about a week and a half they should pave. Be looking to pave that, and then we're into more edge work, signage, striping, some of those things that are gonna kind of finish it up there. And lastly, I don't know if somebody else is gonna mention or not, but, the village and our community lost Tom Foley, about a week ago. 14. And he's been, he's a business owner here, I know my entire life, I think his entire life too. And a village resident, and he'll certainly be missed. But he,
His folks started this.
yeah, his dad started it, I believe, so I think he grew up right here working on Main Street there and in the community, so just want to pass it along.
Great guy.
That's it.
Thanks. The streetlight on the corner of Main near Smith Insurance,
Yeah,
it seems like it's straighter now. Or maybe I was tipped when I looked at it.
Right.
I'm not gonna make any comment, but, It's about 4 to 6 weeks was the lead time on ordering that
If
pole.
you look at it after you keep them buried.
And I'm working with PNC Group or LLP, they're the same thing. And and the insurance company for the truck, the creative truck driver.
Yeah.
So we're looking, I've submitted the quote to them already for reimbursement on those costs. But it's scheduled to get replaced.
Well, this may sound a little crazy too, but you know where Sherwin-Williams is, the post office drive there. Do you notice how off the striping is? So I've been there
Yeah.
multiple times now and watched a car stay with the direction, the line, and then almost head on to this car because they're so off. I was with my daughter, and there was a tractor trailer in that right lane going straight, and almost a collision. They don't have the turning arrow there, and it's really off center. If they stay where they're supposed to be, they're going head on.
Yeah, I had the same conversation. My wife was pointing it out today. She said she's been up there, through there a couple times without the turn arrow. Some of the cars heading west, stay in the right lane and try to go straight. Because I think, especially because of the way the stagger is there. I've mentioned at the state they did have, that's the way with the turn lane and trying to get the other turn lane in there that they lined up. I think they're gonna need some additional, you'll almost see with the off-ramps on 104, especially near Hard Road, and I think on 250 eastbound off-ramp has it as well, where they almost
They do.
lines to guide you around. It's when there's a curve, but I think they really should do something like that with that center line.
I promised my
highlight
daughter
that-
I would say something to you, so
Yeah, to highlight that
in case
shift.
you're listening.
You couldn't call them.
Yeah. Well, my wife talked about even cutting out a piece of cardboard and we had some paint at the house. She was gonna make the arrows herself or something, so.
Not even the arrow so much, it's really bad, that line,
it's
I'm
really
telling you.
crooked.
The light turns green and you take off straight and all of a sudden you realize you're going right for the car.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think if we could push that a little bit.
That's it all.
Are you done now?
Sorry.
Yeah, so everybody keeps asking me stuff.
I just want to thank Smith Insurance Company for the outstanding landscaping job they've done on the north side of their, North Ave side of their building. They took out part of their parking lot. There's a brick walkway, and they obviously invested quite a deal of money in there, but it looks outstanding and it's very much appreciated. So thank you, Tom and Kevin and the entire Smith family for beautifying that corner. Greatly appreciated.
Yes, we do.
So at this time, we'll open up the phone. If anyone would like to call in, the number to call is 265-3772. I don't know if anybody has any announcements, upcoming events. I know there's a wine walk coming up in November. We do have the October 31st Halloween in the Village. That'll be coming up, and soon after that will be Jerry's favorite day, Christmas. And we'll have Christmas in the Village in the office, then the parade.
I apologize.
Jake?
Village of Webster.
The fire department is having the open house the same day as the trick or treat.
Trick or treat trail, open house, firehouse, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, is that what you were trying to?
that's what I was trying to whisper.
Is
Yeah.
that what you were trying to tell me? Okay.
I couldn't sign like that.
All right, no phone calls, so I'll entertain a motion in a second to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, trustee Lancy.
Somebody want to second this?
I don't know if Jake was done. Yeah.
No,
I'll
no.
You can always add more.
Trustee Lancy,
Aye.
trustee Alito,
Aye.
trustee Byers,
Aye.
Mayor Cahill.
All right.